All right, folks, we're back. It is still Wednesday, March 2nd, and it's time for what I drank yesterday. That's right, folks, a lot of drinking going on here in the store, and this is actually something that I drank last week. I don't know how we lost these. I didn't get these reviews in one of our emails last week, but, you know, when you have one of the legends of California winemaking in the store, well, you know, I don't get flustered with movie stars or anything like that, but, you know, it is kind of neat to have someone like... like Douglas Fletcher and the gentleman that was the founding winemaker, Chimney Rock Winery, you know, in the 80s and 90s, drank some phenomenal Cabernet-based wines from that property. Hey, you know, the white wines maybe not quite as good, but the Élevage, Blanc, pretty damn good stuff there. And this gentleman is now the vice president of winemaking, the VP for all of Terlato's properties in California. And Doug has been around for quite some time. His wife is actually writing Margaret Mondavi's new book. You know, I'm reading the Mondavi biography right now, well, the one that he didn't authorize, and very telling stuff. The history of early Napa Valley, or should I say this first wave after Prohibition of early Napa Valley. And Doug's wife, like I said, very well connected as he is into the royalty of Napa Valley, but making some very good wines for the Terlatos, and this is a label that has existed since 2004. Tony Terlato, well, very successful importer. His family business used to be called Paterno, and they changed the name to their family name, Terlato. And now they have some wines under that label from, as I mentioned before, 2004 on. And you just know when you have a winemaker like Doug and the Terlato family involved that these wines are going to be good. These guys are not going to put crap inside the bottle with their name on it. And, you know, like I said, Doug, a very talented winemaker. You know, he knows where the good grapes are buried in both Napa and Sonoma County. Because, well, probably all over California for that matter. You know, these, as I mentioned before, they've got properties, Sanford down in Santa Barbara. They've got Alderbrook and in Sonoma. They've got the Rutherford Hill and Napa Valley. So some very good names, some very popular wines. Well, Santa Margarita is the company that made Paterno Terlato famous and a ton of money. But today, like I said, they have an incredible book of wines. And now some wines with their own name on them. Well, Terlato Pinot Grigio is from the Russian River Valley. And these wines are made at Alderbrook, and the Napa wines are made at Chimney Rock and Rutherford Hill. And these are AVA-based wines. They're looking to highlight specific appellations. The Russian River, Doug feels, one of the best areas for Pinot Grigio, a varietal that likes cooler regions, just like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. But this wine had some nice pear and lemon citrus fruit. You know, Pinot Grigio is just a mutant of the Pinot Noir varietal, so as I mentioned before, it likes cooler areas. And some light floral notes also showing up on the nose here. A nice amount of richness on the tongue for Pinot Grigio and good length on the finish. Really nice little wine. Next up, the Chardonnay from Russian River from two vineyards around Sebastopol. This wine's barrel fermented, lees contact, stirred. Pretty luscious style of Chardonnay. Red apple and peach fruit on the nose. Hints of butterscotch and lemon citrus fruit. A nice touch of lightly toasted oak spice. As I mentioned before, fairly rich and stylish, a little bit of an oily texture, and some light butterscotch notes showing up on the finish. A well-balanced effort, but maybe not my style, a little bit too buttery. All right, the Terlato Merlot Cabernet Franc Angel's Peak wine was up next. And, man, these Cabernet and Bordeaux-style blends, really phenomenal. This is where the strength of this label is. And, well, that's where the strength of Doug's experience in the wine industry is to me. You know, those old Chimney Rock cabs, as I mentioned before, the 80s and 90s, absolutely stunning. Some of the best wines I had during those time periods. But some really good stuff. And these wines, well, Stagecoach, Vineyard, they are sourcing the fruit from different areas, some of the best vineyards coming from Napa. And this wine's got a load of plum and dark cherry fruit on the nose with notes of mocha, fresh earth, smooth and polished on the tongue with lovely plummy cherry fruit on the finish. And nice soft round tannish, very nicely balanced, most excellent stuff. And then we had their Cabernet Franc Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Malbec wine, the Devil's Peak. This wine had a lovely violet floral note, black currants, blackberry fruit, and some lovely tobacco and herbal notes on the nose as well. This variety needs a bit more heat, Cabernet Franc, and does need a lot of water also. So it kind of gets cooked in a real hot area. So big and chewy on the tongue, though, and sees a lot of ripe tannins filling out. Really nice with layers of fruit and minty notes coming through on the finish there. All right, next up, we had their Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petite Verdot blend. So this is called the Cardinal's Peak. And red currant, lovely cherry berry fruit here with some light herbal notes on the nose, showing some lovely toasty oak spice. That herbalness is a telltale sign of the Cabernet Sauvignon. Nice, firm, ripe currant and berry fruit on the tongue with layers of fresh earth, minerality, dark cocoa spice. Wonderful balance and freshness to the finish. Another most excellent wine, man. All three of these reds really good. The Galaxy, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, and Merlot blend. I love Syrah in Cabernet Sauvignon and Bordeaux varietals. This wine tends to bring out the fruit and kind of mellow out the tannins on the back end. This wine had lovely ripe plum and currant berry fruit, very seductive. And 3 North Coast winemakers from the team bring this wine together. They sit down and create the blend. Really nice stuff here, as I mentioned before. Smooth and velvety texture on the tongue. Nicely balanced, a host of spice and minerality on the finish. This is the second vintage of this wine. Really good stuff. I don't know if it was that much better than the other things at almost twice the price that we just had, though. The only problem with some of these high-end blends. And then the Episode. And, man, this wine is meant to be one of the top wines coming out of Napa Valley. The Terlato said, just make us the best wine you possibly can. We want to compete with all the top-level stuff. And the only problem with this wine is it came out right when the recession hit this country. And at $189, it doesn't look expensive if you put it in a lineup of Screaming Eagle, Harlan, Colgan, and all the top-level wines that are 3 or 4 times that price, and it can stand at first, second, or third place in that race. But, man, on its own, a really nice bottle of wine. But like I said, I don't know if it's 3 times as good as the first 3 Bordeaux Savarotta wines. All right, well, that's what we had to drink with Doug. Some great stuff. And then next up, we got 2 producers in from Italy.